Another week, another top 25 matchup featuring the Big Sky. This is This Week in Big Sky Football. Hello and welcome to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm your host, Megan Robinson. After a week 1 bye, Montana opened their season week 2 with a 42-17 victory over Central Washington. Eli Gilman led the way for the Grizz as they racked up nearly 600 yards of total offense. We will hear from Gilman later in the show, but first, Montana hosts number 16 North Dakota this week in our Game of the Week. For more on this matchup, let's bring in head coach Bobby Hauck. Coach, nearly 600 total yards of offense, a career day for Eli Gilman. What allowed you to have so much success on Saturday?
It was a good performance in that regard, Meg, where we had almost 600 yards on 61 plays. So, when you have that kind of production, particularly in the run game where we rushed for over 300 yards, it's probably good job by the offensive line and the tight ends in the run game, and frankly, probably the wide receivers were participating too.
Ran for over 300 yards. Eli Gilman accounted for 198 of those, 3 touchdowns, co-offensive player of the week. Where has his game grown the most from the time he arrived in Missoula to now?
Well, a couple things, when freshmen show up there and as durable as they're going to be, is he's physically able to probably carry the ball more, even though last week he only had 15 carries. But, he had a big game. He's a really good player. I think his vision has improved. He's got good acceleration. He's a big kid, so he can break some tackles. I just, if he can stay healthy, he's going to have a good year.
Another player who had a sort of a breakout game for the Grizz was Michael Wortham, new addition this offseason, 240 all-purpose yards in that matchup on Saturday. What has he brought to the program?
Well, we had a good returner, an NCAA record holder go out the door to the 49ers, so we needed somebody. Feel like our returners are good, if not better than that. Mike certainly showed up on Saturday. He's shown the ability in this conference to make plays, and obviously we're glad that Mike's with us. He's a great guy. He made a lot of good plays on Saturday, and we kind of expect that to be the case week in, week out.
Keali'i Ayat made his 7th start at quarterback after winning the battle in camp. What did he show you over the summer that proved to you he was the right guy to start?
He's calm, focused, seeing things a lot better. I think he has a way better understanding than he did as a freshman, which is the case. I mean, you can go back as far as you want in college football. Freshman quarterbacks, the learning curve's pretty steep for them. I think things have leveled off for Keali'i, and he looked focused and calm, and I think that was a great thing for him on Saturday, because it didn't always go well for him. And what he did was he recovered from mistakes he made and played well after that, which is that's evolution for him as a quarterback.
Looking ahead to this week, your matchup with North Dakota, they've been averaging about 400 yards of offense in their first 2 games. What will be the key to slowing them down defensively?
Well, it's always the same things on defense. Be in the right spot, execute your assignment, tackle, chase the ball, play hard. But they have good players. They have good scheme. I think they have a really good team, and that's not just their offense. That's the entire team. They're good in all 3 phases. The quarterback has played really well. They're always good up front. That is their DNA is such that hasn't changed. So this will be a real test for our defense.
After your win on Saturday, you said you thought your guys were terrific in terms of effort. What is the secret to maintaining that level of effort against a top 25 team in North Dakota?
It's a point of emphasis for us on a daily basis here. We want to play hard. We want to be consistent in that area, and we think some of the other things will take care of themselves. Our guys are well aware that the team that's coming in here to play us, one, got after us in the second half last year and beat us after we had a pretty commanding lead. And then in terms of this season, they're a really good football team. I'm sure they feel like they should have gotten the best of Kansas State. They end up just short in that game, but had the lead late in the game, and then they won by a pretty good margin last week against Portland State, a team from our conference. Our guys are well aware that we have a huge challenge this weekend, and we're going to have our hands full on Saturday.
It was the Joshua Wood Show in Moscow. The co-offensive player of the week joins me next. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm your host, Megan Robinson. Idaho's Joshua Wood accounted for 377 total yards and 4 total touchdowns, helping lead the Fightin' Taters to their first win of the season. His performance earned him co-offensive player of the week honors. Joshua, 377 total yards of offense. You accounted for 4 total touchdowns for the Fightin' Taters on Saturday. What came over you in that game?
Being with my teammates, being out there, having fun with my guys. It's a team sport at the end of the day. Can't do anything without my O-line, my receivers, running backs, and tight ends, the whole offense in general. Being out there with them, they're behind me every single play, and letting me know that even if there is a bad play, it's on to the next play mentality at all times.
Talked about bad play, next play mentality. Your first play of the game, you threw an interception. What did your coaches and teammates say to you on the sideline that allowed you to settle in and have the performance that you did have?
There was a lot of game left. It was the first play of the game, so there's a lot of game left after that. And like I said, next play mentality. Everyone was letting me know, next play, don't let this affect you throughout the game. And so I felt like I didn't let that affect me at all.
You don't always see that happen. You see people get rattled by one mistake in a game. What's the secret to brushing off something like that and moving forward and dominating?
The secret would just be, like I said, my teammates and the players and the coaches around me, and also just being able to get on the headset with Coach Linehan, our OC, him being able to just calm me down, understand the situation that had happened, and let me know that there was a lot of game left and we're on to the next play, next drive.
What do you think your performance overall on Saturday says about who you are as a competitor?
That I can always face adversity, move on to the next. But like I said, it wasn't just me. It's always a team sport. The offense, we all work together, and, I can't do it without them.
This is your first year in Moscow. You had a red shirt season, a medical red shirt season, so it's also your first year as a starter. What did you learn from your time on the sideline that prepared you for this moment?
Just being able to study, watch the film, understand the mistakes that other guys make and try not to make those mistakes, and just keep pushing myself to be the best quarterback that I can be and best leader.
The fun aspect of Saturday was, of course, the Fightin' Taters uniform, that helmet. I saw there was a turnover sack of potatoes as well. What did you think of Idaho leaning in to the Idaho potato theme?
I loved it. It's the state of the potatoes. And so being able to just put that Fightin' Tater on, I had seen the meme. I think it was like before the season had even started. And so, like, once Coach introduced it to us and that we were going to do it, I thought it was pretty funny. And then it blew up, and I really loved it after that. And it was exciting to be able to put that Fightin' Tater on. And the turnover sack, I didn't even get to see it because once we got the fumble recovery, offense was on the field. So I didn't see it until after the end of the game when my guy Will, he had told me about it and showed me the picture. And I was like, oh, yeah, that's fire.
You transferred in from Fresno State for this season, sticking on the potato theme. You're in Idaho, so I'm going to ask you, what's your favorite way to eat a potato?
I'm going to say curly fries. Gotta have them curly. I feel like that's the best way for sure.
That's a good one. You can't go wrong with a curly fry. We'll bring it back to football. This was your first win as quarterback for the Idaho Vandals. It was also Coach Ford's first win as head coach. What did it mean to get this W?
It meant a lot. Like Coach Ford says, we don't lose in the dome. And that's a statement that we try to do every single time that we play in the dome. It was a big win. Just being able to see the hard work that we all put into each other. Coach Ford, he puts everything into us. Being able to get that win for Coach Ford and just get a win in the dome, it was amazing.
You're back in the Dome this Saturday. It'll be part of the 50th celebration of the Kibbe Dome. For those who've never been, how would you describe the atmosphere at home?
It is an electric atmosphere. It gets real loud when defense is on the field. Fans are yelling, they're screaming, they're getting loud, up on their feet, and just being able to see that, it's amazing. And like I said, it's an electric atmosphere.
After the break, we hear from Joshua's co-offensive player of the week, Eli Gilman. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm your host, Megan Robinson. In the words of Kale'i Ayat, Eli Gilman had one of those iconic games. The running back rushed for a career-high 198 yards and 3 touchdowns in Montana's season-opening win over Central Washington, deservedly being named co-offensive player of the week. Eli, career game for you on Saturday, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. What was working for you?
My O-line did a good job opening up the holes for me, and my receivers doing a great job blocking downfield as well. So they were all doing their job really well, so I had to go do mine too.
What did you say to your O-line after that win?
I just kept telling them, even after like the touchdowns and on the sideline, I just kept telling them they're amazing and they're awesome to keep going. Because really those guys work so hard day in and day out to do stuff like that. So it's sweet.
On your first carry of the game, you ran for a 55-yard touchdown. How does that set the tone for the rest of the game?
I thought it set like a lot of things straight. I mean, I thought it set the tone for especially like the O-line and blocking, how they're going to keep dominating the whole game. And then especially like for our whole offense is that we came to score and we're going to continue to score. So I thought it was sweet, and especially get energy rose like that right away was a good start to the season for sure.
I asked Coach Hauk earlier where he thinks your game has grown the most since you arrived in Missoula. He told me you've become more durable and are physically able to have more carries. He also said your vision improved. What are your thoughts on where your game's improved?
I'd agree with him for sure. And I just think like experience-wise, my game has improved and understanding like the blocking scheme, which helps with vision, like he said. So yeah, I feel like it's just like kind of like a maturity football thing. I'd say I've grown into for sure.
What's an area of your game that you want to continue to grow?
I want to continue to grow how well I am at blocking and how I'm able to make defenders miss either unblocked or in space. I'm gonna continue. I want to keep getting better at that for as long as I play football.
What are some things that you can do in practice to help improve in those areas?
Every chance I get is to make someone miss, and every blocking chance I get is to, I guess, just take advantage of my opportunities. Not let certain practice scenarios slip off because it's practice, but to continue to get better day in and day out, especially at the start of the season, so it translates later in the season and sort of translates towards these early games as well.
Big picture, Montana had their bye week 1. You will now play 12 straight weeks of football. How does that impact how you approach this season?
I feel like, it's the same thing. We're still going to come in, work hard, and recover like we always do. It's just, I don't know, it is what it is. We can't really control it. We're just going to control what we can control, and that's just train hard and go out there and play.
This week, you host 16th ranked North Dakota. Coach mentioned last year's meeting with this team to me, and he said, you guys are well aware of what they are capable of. How much does last year's matchup motivate you for Saturday?
It's sweet, especially last year we had them, and letting it slip away just kind of leaves a chip on your shoulder. And it's just like we're fired up. Like right now, we're fired up, and we'll be fired up all week. And we can't wait till Saturday to get them over here this time, and to get after them on Saturday for sure.
Coach said he was proud of your effort on Saturday against Central Washington. This week, of course, a tougher opponent in North Dakota. How do you maintain that high effort for 60 minutes against a top 25 team?
I just feel like we kind of all remain that way because that's just kind of how we train during the off season. We work so hard during every month of the year to up until this point. So I feel like that keeps us all motivated and to give effort like that. Just get the results we get because of how hard we work.
What message would a win on Saturday send to the rest of the FCS?
How dangerous we're going to be, how dangerous we are, and like the capability and potential we have. It's like insane, and it's just really just going to show on how well we've been preparing up until this point.
Still to come, game picks with All-American Samia Kim. Stay with us. Welcome back to This Week in Big Sky Football. Megan Robinson, joined now by former All-American wide receiver for Montana, Sammy Akim. Sammy, you're here to pick some games, but first, you're familiar with the Grizzlies program. They opened their season with a 42-17 win over Central Washington. However, they were a D2 opponent. So how do you assess the Grizzlies' overall performance in that matchup?
I think you just got to look at it from an individual standpoint. Like, obviously the opponent matters, but you want to look at the team. Do they look clean? Are they executing at a high level? Are they tackling well? And, that's where I think you assess when they're playing a lower competition. You got to look at the team themselves and how are they playing? How are they moving around? And break it down by its pieces. How did the linebackers play? How did the safeties play? Did they cover well? Did the receivers get all the assignments? Are they getting open? All those things are what you're looking at against a D2 opponent.
Well, what did you think of all those things that you saw in that first game for the Grizz?
They really cleaned things up in the second half. The first half was ugly. Ayat had a couple of interceptions throughout the game, and his accuracy was waned a little bit throughout the game. And then the tackling was a little inconsistent. But I think that's also something that Coach Haupt talks about all the time is, they went lighter during this fall camp, and during the offseason they weren't as heavy. So when you do put the pads on for the first time against another opponent, and when you do have to go out and tackle somebody, it might look a little ugly. Against this North Dakota Fighting Hawks opponent for the Grizz, I expect them to look much cleaner.
One of the good was, of course, Michael Wortham, transferred in from Eastern Washington. He had 240 all-purpose yards in that Week 1 win. What impact do you expect Wortham to have for the Grizz?
Man, I expect him to be everything obviously they're not going to play Central Washington every week, but the fact that they had him at the Wildcat position, I didn't even know they would roll that out as soon. People who have been to fall camp saw them running the Wildcat with Michael Wortham, but I don't know if they expected that they would run that against Central Washington. I think that shows that that's going to be a central part of their offense, getting him involved in the jet sweep game, getting him passes on the exterior, kick return, punt return game. I mean, any way you can get him involved in the game. I think he's such a game wrecker. I think he's such an explosive player. He's so fast. He's got a ton of versatility. You have to use him as a weapon, and he's got to touch the ball, in my opinion, 10 to 15 times minimum a game.
Well, Sammy, you were here to pick some games, so let's pick some games. First up, Northern Colorado, coming off that controversial and heartbreaking loss to Colorado State last weekend. They face South Dakota on Saturday. How do you think they'll fare in this one?
I know that they were very close against Colorado State, and sure, the question has to come up. Was it good Northern Colorado, or was it bad Colorado State? I don't know. I think Ed Lamb has been doing a phenomenal job building that squad up in Northern Colorado. I think he's doing a really good job bringing in the right pieces, doing the recruiting job. I am going to pick Northern Colorado to beat the South Dakota Coyotes this week.
Our second game for you to pick, Idaho. They notched their first win in the Thomas Ford era. Joshua Wood earned Big Sky Co-Offensive Player of the Week honors. This week they host Utah Tech for the 50th celebration of the Kibbe Dome. If you haven't seen those uniforms, they are phenomenal. Who do you like in this one, Idaho or Utah Tech?
Utah Tech is another school in the United Athletic Conference who a lot of people need to be paying attention to. Not necessarily Utah Tech, but the United Athletic Conference, Tarleton, Abilene Christian. That conference is on the come up. Utah Tech is looking and trending up, but I'm definitely picking Idaho in this game. I mean, Josh Wood is looking like one of the better quarterbacks in the conference, and I expect them to have a really, really big game against Utah Tech. I got Idaho and the Vandals in this game for sure.
Finally, our game of the week, 16 North Dakota heading to Missoula to take on 5th-ranked Montana. Coach Hauck said, our players are well aware of what happened last year. We want to win this time. Who do you like in this one?
Montana, and it's for a reason that I know personally. There's certain games at Montana where a black flag is flown, and that's a game where under no circumstances is Montana going to walk off that field without a victory. Given what happened last year in the Alaris Dome in North Dakota, Montana bumped their head. They took a loss, and it was a brutal loss. I expect Montana to bounce back from that game, feel the feelings of revenge, and fly that black flag in the locker room. And I expect Coach Hauck to have the boys flying around. I mean, that is a game that they need to win. First ranked game of the season. It's something where we're going to get to see what this team looks like under pressure. I think one thing that also lends itself to them and puts them in a good position is the fact that it's at home. They get it at home. They're home fans. Last year they were on the road in the Dome. This year they're in Montana, in home, get some home cooking. I like Montana to win this game this week.
Well, Sammy, it's going to be a good one. Another top 25 matchup for a Big Sky school. Appreciate you being here and picking some games. Sounds like Montana will be out for revenge Saturday in Wa Grizz in their first top 25 matchup of the season. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of This Week in Big Sky Football. I'm Megan Robinson. I'll catch you all next week.